Most people are going to play GTA 6 for the story, but Rockstar may have quietly built an entire second game underneath it. Because scattered across Leonida are activities that have almost nothing to do with completing missions: fishing, hunting, robberies, racing, sports, gambling, nightlife, vehicle collecting, underwater exploration, and even things we've never properly seen in a GTA game before. And the crazy part is that some of these activities could completely change the way you spend your time in GTA 6. So in this video, we're going through everything Rockstar has shown, strongly hinted at, or previously leaked, while separating the things we know from the things we're still speculating about. Because by the end, you might realize that the biggest reason to play GTA 6 over and over again might have nothing to do with the main story. Let's start with something that might seem completely insignificant at first. Before you say anything, no, we're not talking about me. Just look at Jason. In one of the scenes Rockstar has shown us, Jason is working out inside a gym, and while that might look like a simple environmental detail, there's a reason it caught people's attention. Rockstar has experimented with fitness systems before. GTA San Andreas famously allowed CJ to work out and physically change his body, while GTA Online eventually introduced various gym exercises and equipment. GTA 5's single-player gyms, on the other hand, were largely environmental rather than fully interactive. So Rockstar already knows how to build these kinds of mechanics. The interesting part is that Jason's workout scenes appear to show noticeably detailed muscle movement. That doesn't confirm a full fitness system, but it does raise an interesting possibility. What if working out in GTA 6 is actually something you can choose to do rather than just another scripted animation? And Jason may not be the only one getting physical. Lucia has also been shown in situations that appear to involve fighting or combat training, including footage that looks like a cage fight and imagery suggesting boxing. If these systems are actually playable, Rockstar could be taking the old GTA fitness idea and turning it into something much more integrated with the open world. And if you're not exactly the type of person who wants to spend your free time lifting weights in a virtual gym, don't worry. Leonida has plenty of other ways to waste your time. Sports, for example, appear to be making a return. Basketball is one of the most interesting possibilities because we've already seen NPCs playing it, and there's even a basketball hoop near Jason's home. That alone doesn't prove that players will be able to use it, but there's another clue that makes basketball particularly interesting. GTA 6 appears to have built an entire fictional basketball culture into the world, including references to a professional team and a fictional league of basketball, with the Sahara Arena apparently serving as its home court. So this doesn't feel like Rockstar simply placing a random hoop in the environment. Whether that turns into a fully playable sports system remains to be seen, but the amount of world building around basketball certainly makes it worth watching. And then there's tennis. Yes, tennis from GTA 5 could potentially return, because Rockstar clearly likes using sports as a way to give players something completely unrelated to the main storyline. GTA 5's tennis system was surprisingly detailed, and Rockstar has a history of turning seemingly ridiculous side activities into mechanics that players can spend hours messing around with. And here's a completely unnecessary piece of Rockstar history. Back in 2006, Rockstar released a table tennis game. If you actually played that game, I respect you. But the bigger point is that sports in GTA aren't just random decorations. Rockstar has repeatedly shown that it understands how to turn simple activities into little distractions that make an open world feel more alive. But sports are still fairly predictable. If you really want to see how GTA 6 could change the way you interact with Leonida, we need to talk about something much more important: robberies. GTA 6 is obviously going to have major heists as part of the story. That's practically a requirement at this point. But what if criminal activity isn't restricted to scripted missions? The 2022 leaks gave us some of the strongest early evidence that GTA 6 could have a more flexible robbery system. In the leaked Hank's Waffles footage, Jason and Lucia were shown carrying out a robbery, and the leaked material suggested that certain robberies could potentially be approached outside of traditional story missions. There were also indications of activities involving shipping containers and other targets. Obviously, leaked information doesn't guarantee that every mechanic will survive into the final game, but if even part of this system remains, it could completely change how you explore Leonida. Imagine driving through the city with no mission active. You spot a potential target. You decide whether it's worth the risk, figure out how you're going to approach it, grab what you can, and then disappear before the police arrive. That's very different from simply waiting for a yellow marker to tell you where the next mission starts. And it gets even more interesting when you consider the possibility of gang compounds. Some promotional material has suggested that players could potentially rob these locations, which could turn certain parts of the map into mini heist environments. Instead of one massive scripted robbery, you could have smaller criminal opportunities scattered throughout the world. If Rockstar gets this right, Leonida might feel less like a map filled with missions and more like a city where opportunities simply exist and you decide which ones are worth taking. And that brings us to one of the most dangerous things you might be able to do when you leave the city: hunting. Alligators. Lots and lots of alligators. Florida, which heavily inspires Leonida, is famous for its wildlife, and Rockstar has clearly invested a huge amount of attention into making GTA 6's animals feel like part of the world rather than simple background objects. The Mount Calaga National Park area in particular appears to be packed with wildlife, which creates an obvious opportunity for a proper hunting system. We don't yet know exactly how deep that system will be, and some of the more specific ideas surrounding animal activities remain speculation, but Rockstar's previous work makes the possibility particularly interesting. Red Dead Redemption 2 proved that Rockstar can turn hunting into something that feels like a genuine part of an open world rather than a 5-minute minigame. So imagine having an entire wilderness area where you can head out with a vehicle, search for wildlife, track animals, and spend an afternoon away from the chaos of Vicedale and the rest of Leonida. But here's where GTA 6's world gets even more interesting, because Leonida isn't just enormous on land. A huge part of the environment is water. And that opens up an entire category of activities that GTA hasn't really explored before. Fishing is probably the biggest example. Proper fishing would represent a major new type of activity for the GTA series, although Rockstar obviously has experience with the mechanic thanks to Red Dead Redemption 2. And GTA 6 appears to be giving us multiple reasons to believe that fishing could be more than a random animation. We've seen different types of boats and locations that appear to be connected to fishing, including vessels around the Keys and other parts of Leonida. There's even the wonderfully ridiculous name Sharky Squallow. The important detail isn't just that fishing boats exist. It's that fishing appears to fit naturally into the world Rockstar has created. You're not being teleported into a separate minigame. You're surrounded by water, boats, wildlife and coastal communities that make the activity feel like something people in Leonida would genuinely do. And fishing might not even be the most interesting thing you can do on the water. Kayaking could be another completely new addition. GTA hasn't traditionally allowed players to explore the world through something as simple as a kayak, and even Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't really turn kayaking into a dedicated activity. GTA 6, however, appears to contain clues pointing in that direction, particularly around Mount Calaga National Park. There's also a particularly interesting detail involving Jason's safe house in the Keys, where there appears to be a dedicated place to store a kayak. If that is actually functional, it could suggest that certain smaller vehicles aren't simply props. They could be equipment you acquire, store and use whenever you want. And if the rumored bonus content surrounding the game's additions is accurate, there may even be additional ways for players to get their hands on one. Then things get even crazier, because we're going underwater. We've already seen plenty of evidence that underwater exploration will be important in GTA 6, and some leaked material described an underwater sequence involving drugs that had ended up in the ocean during a police chase. We obviously can't treat every leaked detail as confirmed, but the basic idea makes sense. Rockstar has built a world surrounded by water, so it would be strange if the ocean were simply a giant empty barrier around the map. There could be wrecks, hidden objects, wildlife, missions, exploration opportunities and secrets beneath the surface that players won't discover until they start looking. And that is exactly the kind of content that can turn a huge open-world map into something people genuinely want to explore. Now let's leave the water behind and talk about speed. Racing has been part of GTA for years, but GTA 6 could potentially take the idea much further. The 2022 leaks contained evidence of different racing-related activities, while trailer footage has shown dirt bikes, off-road environments, and locations that appear perfectly suited to racing. One particularly interesting area is around Mount Calaga, where dirt bikes have been spotted around an abandoned mine. That doesn't automatically mean there's a dedicated race there, but it shows that Rockstar is building environments where off-road activities make sense. And then there's Port Gellhorn, which appears to contain an actual racing facility. If those locations become playable racing venues, GTA 6 could potentially give us two very different sides of racing culture: illegal street and off-road races on one side, and more organized professional-style racing on the other. And if you're a car enthusiast, racing may only be half of the addiction. Vehicle hunting could become another massive time sink. We've seen references to characters and activities connected to finding vehicles around Leonida, and Rockstar appears to be putting an enormous amount of detail into its cars. That opens the possibility of a gameplay loop where you aren't simply buying the best vehicle available. You could spend time looking for something rare, stealing it, bringing it back, customizing it, and building a collection. And if GTA 6's customization system is anywhere near as extensive as players are expecting, suddenly, "I'm just going to customize one car" becomes a 3-hour activity. And honestly, that might be the most exciting part of GTA 6. Because the story will eventually end. The missions will eventually be completed. But the world of Leonida is designed to keep pulling you back in. You might start the game to follow Jason and Lucia's story, but then spend hours fishing, racing, hunting, gambling, exploring, or simply causing chaos with no mission at all. And that's what makes GTA special. The story gives you a reason to play, but the world gives you a reason to stay. So now I want to know, what's the first side activity you're trying in GTA 6? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more GTA 6 content. I'll see you in the next one.